Welcome to another Cricut Design Space tutorial hosted by Hops and Hospitality. Today we are going to start with some very basics of text and fonts in Cricut Design Space. This is a great way to get started because most projects tend to have some type of text involved, maybe because you're adding a family name or a child's name or a funny saying on a graphic tee. So it's always a great tool to learn at the very beginning. As you can see, I have already opened a new blank canvas, and the text tool is here on the left menu bar. Click that and you'll see that the text box opens up and you can type right in the word you're looking to use. So I am going to just hold down this box and drag it with my mouse up to the middle of the screen so we can all see it together centered. And I am going to drag the bottom right corner, which has diagonal arrows, and lets me size this up. Now, of course, you want to make sure you're using a size that's correct for your project, and we will talk about that at a different point. I went ahead and just sized it up so we can see it really well here. Now the default is Cricut Sans, so if you want to change the font options row is going to be your second row on the top, where you'll see you can choose a font, the style, the size, and then some other features that we will talk about. So font drop-down menu, there are a ton of options already preloaded in Cricut Design Space, which is amazing. You can hit the ground running right now and find more than enough options for the project you're looking for. There are also additional options, and you will see some of these with a green letter A on the left side, which means they are a part of the Cricut Access subscription service. There is a monthly fee to that, and depending on how many options you want or how often you use it, that can be an absolutely valuable tool. I have it, and I would highly recommend it. However, I will make it a point to say you absolutely do not need an Access subscription to start working with Cricut, or for most projects you will need. It is kind of a bonus of extra projects and fonts and clip art that you may want to use. But to get started, and if you're trying to keep the cost low until you really understand the Cricut machines, you absolutely do not need anything special. Most of these fonts I have here were preloaded in Cricut. Now I do have a font that I have already added to Cricut Design Space that I bought elsewhere. We will talk about that separately as well. However, because I know the name of it, I can search fonts up here, and the name of my font is Cream Cake, and I can just click this and it'll change my design. Once again, you'll see that each font is a little bit different, so I'll drag it and make it a little larger again. So easy enough, but something just doesn't look quite right about this text. If you see what I was looking for, is these letters are close together and it's a true handwriting font. So why does it look like this when I type it in? Well, each font, again, is different, and so Cricut allows us to have some optionality when we work with the text tool, so that we can make sure the design looks the way we want it to once we have it in the system. For a single word like this, welcome, I can highlight the whole word, go back up to this font options row, and use this letter space option to bring the letters closer together or farther apart. So right now, if I went up, it increases the amount of space apart from each letter. But if I go down, it will drag the letters closer and closer together. And you'll note now I'm at 0, and it's still not quite right. They're not truly connecting the way handwriting should, But luckily, we can go lower than 0. We can go into negative numbers. And with this font, that's about the look I like. So for this font, a negative 0.7 seems about right to me. And now you'll see that when I drag it farther apart, the letters don't separate back out. It just makes my welcome all connected and larger. And that is the easy way to correctly space letters in fonts, especially handwritten or calligraphy fonts that don't automatically load perfectly spaced together, but also give you some flexibility depending on the project type you want. Now, of course, you can go back up to the very top, and right now it's a cut file in black. If I want to see what this looks like, I can make sure it's a pink font. And the important piece that you will want to make sure that you do before cutting this project, especially with a handwritten font, if you want the letters connecting, truly connecting, you want to make sure that right now you will see, let me zoom in so we can see this together. Right now there is still this line showing between each of the connected letters. That means that your Cricut blade truly will run over this letter and they will not print out connected. So make sure that if you do want this connected, which we do for this font, you highlight the word, and at the bottom right, you hit weld. And when we weld this together, you will see that those lines are no longer there. And so now the Cricut blade knows to truly take this E right into a smooth L, and this whole part of the word will print out as one piece. Of course, the W will be separate because it's not touching anything, and you can always work with the line spacing more if that's something you want added to the project. But otherwise, that's a key piece to make sure that your word stays together. And from here, you can resize it if you'd like, but otherwise you are done with a simple welcome introduction to text.